American Dad. So we have our 1/8 inch end mill bit. We'll have a 16th and a 1 millimeter. We're calibrated with our Z height. We have everything zeroed. We're gonna go ahead, turn it on, and get to cutting. So let's start. So here's the sign I made the other time. This is Klaus from American Dad. Now I'm making Roger. So this is the first version of this file. We'll see how it looks when it's done cutting, and we'll see how it works out. So right now I'm using a 1/8 inch end mill bit, and then after this I will be using a 16th inch bit, and then followed by a 1 millimeter to finish everything up. Hi, Earthen. Nice to see you back. We're doing a different sign today. We're doing Roger Smith from American Dad. Okay, so actually let's leave that closed or open. We'll wipe the screen down, and we're gonna do our next cut, which is our profile cuts. All right, here we go with the profile. So this is doing the outline, so it's going to do, I believe, one more pass on the perimeter, and then it'll do a pass around Roger himself, and then we'll have one more cut with the 1/8 inch end mill bit, and then we'll follow that up with a 16th inch to get some of the other details. Okay, now it's going to do Roger's profile. Clean the screen. This one's probably not going to do much for a cut. It's kind of just taking out a little bit of the surface, even though it's not really cutting anything. The next pass, it'll get Roger's profile. So another 3 seconds, and we'll do that one. Okay, so let's load in our next file. Last pass. And then this one's just going to get a final cut around the perimeter just to clean it up and make it easier so I don't have to do any sanding, or not too much sanding on the outsides. And then once it does this one pass, it'll do Roger's profile and get that cut out. Yeah, it could be a little louder than a little high pitch, especially with the 1/8 inch, but once we go to the 16th inch and the 1mm, that sound should be no longer there. So here now, it's going to do one last little zigzag pass. Let me clean this up. And then it's going to do his profile now. So this is my first cut of this file. So we're going to see how it turns out, and then if I have to do any modifications, I'll do that for the second version of the cut, but we'll do that later. So now we're all done with the 1/8 inch bits. Turn this off. And what we're going to do now is open the door, and we're going to calibrate our next bit, which is our 16th inch end mill bit. So let me get the camera set up and make sure I don't drop it. And if anybody was here for the last stream, I did one of Klaus, if you like American Dad. So that's what I did there. So we're doing one with Roger. But right now I have to get that 1/8 inch end mill bit off of there. So let's get our trusty open-ended wrenches. One there, one here. We'll pop this guy out. A little bit of muscle. And that's the 1/8 inch bit we just used. Down cut. So that's getting a lot of material out pretty quick. And now what we're using for our next detail is our 16th inch end mill bits. So it's basically just half the size of the 1/8 inch, but we'll get a lot more of the detail. So let's get that tightened up. And we'll get our open-ended wrench. And we'll tighten that down. All right, so now it's tightened, but we still need to calibrate it. So our X and our Y are going to be the same exact position, but our Z has changed. So we'll have to get that calibrated. So we'll move this over, and we'll set up the calibration. And if anybody's enjoying this content, please like and subscribe. Helps the channel grow, and it helps pay the bills, I guess. So let's drop this down a little bit. All right, we're going to initiate the probe, and what we're going to do is we're going to drop this down. That basically is a circuit, and this is our switch. So once it touches that plate, the circuit's complete. We know in software how high this plate is off the material, so it'll figure out exactly how high that bit is off of it. So let's get going, and it's going to do 2 passes. So the first one's going to go down relatively quick like that. It's going to touch the plate, circuit complete, and now it's going to go a lot slower to touch that, and that's just its final calibration. So then it can figure out exactly how high off the material we are with the bit, and we are calibrated. So we can put this down to the side, and we will get our next file loaded. So that is the one we just did. Let's load our 16th inch end mill bit. So we have a lot of text that's going to say, and basically it's just going to cut that out, as well as the American Dad logo. So we're all calibrated. Go ahead and close the door. I'll wipe down the enclosure window. Sawdust everywhere. I need a better brush or something. A lot of static in there too. So let's turn on the bit, and we'll load in our file and get cutting. Once I get my camera to auto focus correctly, I swear this thing's not wiping anything away. Maybe we go better on this side? Nope. Sorry about that. There she goes. Looking a little better. Maybe not. Again, I apologize. It's tough to... I don't want to leave the door open because then it gets loud with the drill. There it goes. Might have to back it up. There it is. That looks a little better. Again, sorry about the autofocus on my camera here. So you can see it's gonna, I don't think the 16th inch is gonna get all the detail out of Roger. We'll use a 1mm to do that. But right now the 16th inch is gonna get a lot of that detail for our text that we're gonna have on our sign. So you can see there, we're getting the American Dad logo printed on the sign. This bit's gonna, it's got 5 more minutes. So I did a little bit of aggressiveness with its cut profile, but I had it work on the Klaus sign that I did, so I stuck with it for this one. How's everybody's Sunday going so far? Mine's been a hectic day of cleaning up leaves in the front yard. Now it's finally into the workshop to get stuff cleaned up. No, I think this dust is on the outside, huh? Need to get some Windex or something. So right now I'm doing a 2D sign, but I'll show you one of the other things I've made before. So I made a Legend of Zelda Hylian shield on this CNC router. I ended up painting it and then gluing a handle for my son for the Renaissance Fair. So that's just something else I made on this machine. You can see the 3D profile of it. Turned out pretty good, made out of pine. I think it's about 12 inches long, 3/4 inches tall, and I think it's like 10 inches wide. So yeah, just different things. But this is a sign I'm making right now, 2D, nothing too fancy with this one, but yeah, it's just stuff I like to do. Hi, Ethan. So again, it's not fully finishing the words. Like you can see the O and U and some of the other words, it doesn't fully close that up. It's because we're going to go back, I believe, and use our 1mm end mill bit to basically get all that detail. So this is taking out as much as it can, and then we'll use our 1mm bit to get the rest of it out of there. So we got another minute for this, and then we'll do the same thing where we calibrate our 1mm, and then we'll finish up the sign. If anybody's wondering where that blue stuff is in the back of it, let me see if my finger, so that blue tape back there, what that is I put painter's tape on there on both sides. I put painter's tape on the sign itself on the back and then on the machine, and I use CA glue with an accelerator to basically treat it like double-sided tape, and that's what holds it down. Another 18 seconds, and we'll finish her up with the 1mm end mill bit. Okay, we're going back to our 0. Turn it off, and we'll swap it out for our 1mm end mill bit. So again, it's the same process as before, where we're going to go ahead and then take off our old bit. So we'll get our open-ended wrenches here. Let me do that. All right, there. Catch it. There, we caught it. This end. And then remove it. And she fell off. Ugh, my little sausage fingers can't grab that. And that's our 16th inch end mill bit. And now we'll go with our even smaller 1mm bit. If the camera catches that. That's mainly just for getting that detail. So we're going to get a lot of that stuff where other bits couldn't get. And then we'll be doing last passes with it as well to clean up some of the stuff like where our 1/8 inch bit went over. So that's going to go on the perimeter of those cuts. And just go a little finer to clean it up to make it less work for myself when I'm cleaning up the file or cleaning up the sign. So we'll tighten this down. Hand tight's good enough. And like before, we're going to calibrate it with our Z probe. Let me move that off a little bit. And we'll drop her down. And just like before, we're going to complete a circuit by touching the bit to the plate. So let's get our probe recognized. So what I do when I first do it, I touch it. So what the software is looking for is that the probe's actually there. So you have to physically touch it on there first. So let's start the probe. And like before, it'll be 2 passes. First one, touch. And then the second one, a little slower. And we're calibrated. Perfect. Okay, so we are calibrated with this last bit. So we're gonna finish it up. So go back to the computer, onto our G code sender, which is G sender. Now we're gonna load that 1mm file in. And you can see here, it's gonna go over Roger himself, get a lot of that detail, a lot of the stuff in the text. And basically, if you're curious too, so each of those lines there, it shows you how many passes it's gonna make. It's gonna do like 2 passes, once and then twice, and then get all that detail. So it kind of shows everywhere where the bit's going, and that's the bit right here in the software. So let's get back. We'll get our enclosure closed up, and we'll get rocking and rolling and get this thing finished up. Again, like and subscribe helps my channel grow. And I should have turned on the router first. We are good to go now. I appreciate everybody that's on the stream. And let's start. You see it's doing quick little passes in there. See if I can get a little more light in there with my other lights. One of the tough parts about doing these live streams is getting the lighting just right with the camera. So we'll get this set up. Let's see if this gives a little more light. Why is that not working? Didn't look like it helped. So actually, I just made this file last night. So it doesn't take too long if you kind of know what you're doing. And I copied a lot from the Klaus sign. So you can see there it's cleaning up a lot of that stuff. It's basically going the perimeter of the text, and it's just kind of cleaning it up. Now it just dropped to the next level, and then it's just shaving all the way that extra stuff. And then after American Dad, we're going to go towards the other text and then finish up Roger. Where's it going? Looks like we're gonna put a lot of detail into Roger. So you can see it's getting all that stuff that the 1/8 inch and the 16th inch couldn't get. So this will be a lot of the detail that we're missing out on that we're going to get now. And again, this is like my first version of this profile. So I always want to make sure that, you know, the outlines, like his toes right there, is thick enough where they won't break. And if it does, then I just do a second version of it, get it corrected, and then just keep going on until I get the file the way I like it. Hoping I get it right on this first one, but we'll find out. There he's doing the fingers there. So it took a lot of manipulation of the file itself to get it in a way that I could do the cut profiles. It's just one of the things you have to figure out when you're doing this kind of stuff. So far, it's looking not too bad. Again, knock on wood. There's plenty of wood around here to knock on. I believe my cut depth on this is 1/10 of an inch. Maybe, yeah, it probably is 1/10. I don't think I went any larger. You don't really need to go that large when you're doing these kind of multi or two-tone kind of cuts. You're just looking for the contrast between, you know, the stain or the gel stained that I show, and then the removal of it, just showing the pine. But I like a little bit of depth to it. There it's getting his little stuff in his head there, little wrinkles. So I get worried, stuff like that, like the wrinkles, that if it's too small, maybe the wood would crack, splinter, or break, but that came out pretty nice. Let me wipe the screen down too. Again, I appreciate everybody watching this stream. This is stuff I like to do. I like to show it off. You can see it's going to do the profile now. Go all the way around. It's going to do 2 passes. So you can see it's not all the way down. It's tracing it. And then it'll go down to the final depth on its last pass. Just going all the way around it. That's where you get that nice clean detail. It's just that last pass, just clean it up just enough where you don't have to do any sanding, which can be a pain for something that kind of small. basically take an X-Acto knife and just try to clean it out yourselves. And then you'll see it drop down here shortly for its last pass. There it goes, it just dropped down all the way. So now it's doing its final clearance. Kind of hypnotic when you're watching it, just kind of tracing it and just seeing where it goes. We'll still need to get Roger's eyes, get his tongue in there, and it looks like his left foot, and maybe some of the details in his fingers. I think it finishes up right at his bottom of his foot right there. Yes, Erwin, that is Roger. Roger Smith from American Dad. I made a Klaus sign last week, and now I decided to make a Roger sign. Excuse me. Get a little more detail in the feet. Looks like we're going for his eyes right now. Eyes are a little tight, so we'll see how it turns out. Nice. Again, I'm worried about that wood just cracking just a little bit, but it looks like we're fine there. Oh man, I can watch like an hour's worth of Rogers quotes on YouTube all day. Some of the stuff he says is so great. So the one I went with this sign is, hey, this feels good, you like it? Don't tell anyone, you'll get in trouble too. It's the one where he was trying to get Steve popular at school, and Roger kind of punked him and became the popular kid. There's a lot of different things to choose from. I went with that one. Thanks, Erwin. Like I said, a lot of different lines I could have went with, and maybe I'll do different signs with different Roger sayings. Pick the best ones. I forget what was the other one I was thinking about doing. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but it was another classic one. There's his mouth. Get his fingers. And it looks like we're going. Oh, let me clean the screen. Make it easier to see. We got a lot of dust collecting. So yeah, American Dad. And then, like I said, I did a Klaus one last week. Danuta, the classic Klaus one. And this week is Roger. And next week, probably somebody else in the Smith family. Probably Stan. Staniel Smith. Stan the man. So growing up, I'm 39 now. I was a huge Simpsons fan back in the 90s. We talk about classic era Simpsons. The new stuff, I haven't watched it in years. But for whatever reason, American Dad, even in its later seasons, I still find just as funny. And to me, it's becoming my favorite animated show. So I figured I couldn't find much on Etsy or anything like that for memorabilia for the show. So I figured, you know what? I got a CNC machine. Let me make my own. So here I am making the Smith family. Yeah, Family Guy's good too. Haven't watched much of the later stuff, but I remember Family Guy premiering on Fox back in what, late '90s, early 2000s, and yeah, that was a good change of pace from The Simpsons, especially at that time. So right now, what we're going to do is just get all that detail in the text there that our 16th inch bit couldn't get all the way. So you can see it kind of looks like the words were started but not finished just because that bit couldn't fit in there. So now we got our 1mm bits, and we're going to get a lot more of that detail out of there. Like you can watch us do in the end. So now it's doing its thing, dropping down. I think it's making little incision marks. So it's basically putting a little point into the text so it'll come back later and start there and then finish it up. So it's kind of like writing with the router there. There's American Dad logo. And if everybody's interested in these things, I have this stuff on my Etsy page. If you go on Etsy and you just search Old Fashioned Nights, you'll find some signs I made on there. I'll put this one on there. I got the Klaus one too that I made. I got some other shows, Tires, Chair Company, if you just started watching that one on HBO with Tim Robinson. I figure a lot of these shows that don't have too much memorabilia, you know, might as well start making some stuff for it. Maybe I can pay some bills. But if you're interested, I'll have it on there. Yeah, I agree, everyone, about the FCC rules. Which, if you watch American Dad on Fox and then it went to TBS, it was a good change of pace because it got away with a lot more swearing and a lot more dark humor, I guess I'll say. So I know now they're going back to Fox, so I'm curious what that's going to do for the show as well. You know, I've trusted writers; they're pretty funny. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the latest season on Fox this year. And again, please like and subscribe if you're enjoying this. I like to do these live signs. I like to do a different sign every week. Uh, and just stuff I like to do. You know, I enjoy this. I was big into woodworking. I got into CNC stuff about 2 years ago. So I just like to, you know, show it off. So yeah, it's doing all the details there in the text. See, it's getting the question mark. It does basically 2 passes per letter. It does a 1 pass and then a last one to finish it up. Again, there's our Roger. So I think that one came out pretty good. Even the wrinkles in his head, I was worried that those would be too thin or they'd crack. Even his Roger, I guess his moobs, I guess, or A-boobs or whatever, alien boobs. You know what I mean. Those didn't crack or get broken. Even the eyes are pretty thin, but, you know, it's not too bad. Everybody having a good Sunday night, or at least by me it's Sunday night. Still got all my chores left to do. Spent the day watching football and raking leaves. And now here I am cutting some wood. You can see it's doing its last passes there. Let's see, it's going to get the H now. There it goes. And it's going to get a couple of passes on the perimeter to get the depth. And here is everything. And then so once I'm done with this, what I'm going to do then is I will take my router and do a round over bit around the corners on both sides to smooth it out. And I'll go ahead and I'll stain the sides and the back to get it finished up. And then I'll put a little hanger on the back so you can hang it on the wall. And again, if you just joined, there's Roger Smith. Made Klaus Heisler last week. Yeah, that's true, Erwin. I had to watch my Packers. I'm a Packer fan, so I got the noon game. Should have probably waited till later to to stream this, but I had to get the kids ready and get chores done tonight, so this is my only time. Maybe I'll do another one on Tuesday. Do a second Roger Smith. Hopefully I'll get more views. But that's okay, you know what? I want to get this cut out tonight, and I'm doing it, and I really appreciate you and everybody else on the stream watching. Yeah, it's crazy. It's Thanksgiving already this week. Said I'd bring the dessert to a couple of them, and I have no idea what I'm bringing. Yeah, I usually stream on Tuesdays, Thursdays, or Fridays, depending on my week, and then once on the weekends, usually Sunday nights. This is a little earlier than I usually stream, but that's all right. At least try to get 3 times a week. Oh, what's the score of the Cowboys Eagles? I had it on the other room. I turned it off. I knew the Eagles were up like 14-0. Assuming that's still the case, they're still up. Oh, yeah. 21-7. They said the Cowboys beat the Eagles like the last 3 times or something crazy like that. So maybe they'll come back. I know my Packers lost to them a couple weeks ago because our offense is inept right now. Apparently, you lose your star tight end and everything goes into shambles. But we won today against the Vikings, so that's good. Sorry, any Vikings fans out there, as well as Bears or Lions fans. I know you guys both won today, but you know, I'm green and gold. Apologies. Hate me. But I appreciate you if you're watching the stream. Don't hate me. Agreed. Definitely need more consistency. Their defense is basically pulling the team right now. But yeah, they just got to get their offense in rhythm, which it started off decent today. It was the first time they had an opening drive touchdown, I think, since the Cowboy game. But after that, I don't know, they just settle for field goals a lot. They got lucky on a muff punt or a punt that hit the back of a Vikings returner. So yeah, hey, yeah, just need more consistency. Agree with you. We got another about 5 minutes left of this, so it's just finishing up a lot of that text. I think it's got to do with most of that interior text, and then we will be done. It's turning out pretty nice. I'm liking it. Yeah, that is true. Some of the things that said on that show, I go, I always love the edgy humor, but man, there's a few times where I'm like, how did they get that one past the censors? And this is one of those things too. This is one where Roger's basically rubbing Steve's chin. I saw the episode the other night, and I'm like, you know what? That's the Roger quote I'm going to use for this one. So you see it does one layer on the D, and then it's going to drop down. Its final pass. Let's see where it goes. Probably that period next on the back. Where's she going? Looks like we're going to finish up on there. Maybe I can zoom in a little better. Just cleaning out those holes. Yeah, after this, I'm going to watch a whole bunch of, I'm just going to Google funny Roger quotes and just watch the hour-long video on YouTube of it. Seriously, just some of the stuff. Oh, that episode was great, too, the limo driver. And we are done. So let me move this back. So there's Roger Smith. Hey, this feels good. You like it? Don't tell anybody or anyone. You'll get in trouble too. Roger Smith, American Dad. So that's our sign. And like I said, last week I did one of Klaus Heisler. I still got finished staying the back there. And let's see if I can't just pull this off. So I got painter's tape on both sides stacked as double-sided glue. Let's see if I can't just peel it off. Ooh, tape's a little on there. Good. So yeah, not too bad. Let's see if I can't. Oh, that tape is sticking. There she goes. I'm basically popping a pecan sandy. A little dusty, but yeah, I'll have to clean it off, run the router along the sides, do just a little light sanding there, and then put a little hanger on the back once that gets stained as well. And yeah, Roger Smith right next to Klaus. Or Clouger, if you've seen that episode of American Dad. It's kind of a disturbing one, but love is love, right? So yeah, again, appreciate everybody who watched the stream and who are American Dad fans. I knew you are, Erwin, our American Dad fan. Thank you. And yeah, if you're interested in it, I'll be throwing it up on my Etsy page. Like and subscribe, helps my channel grow. And I'll see you on the next one. Thinking about doing Staniel Smith. But have a good Sunday night and a good Thanksgiving. Appreciate your time. Take it easy. Good night. Bye.